The attack came without warning. One moment, the deep space relay stations around Sol were sending their normal signals out into the galaxy. Weather reports from Mars. Trade updates from the asteroid belt. Small, boring messages that proved Earth and its home system were alive and well. The next moment, everything stopped. No warning shot. No message. No demand. Just silence. Far away, on a human colony called New Haven, a woman named Captain Elena Voss was standing on the bridge of her ship when the silence began. She was 40 years old, with short brown hair and tired eyes that had seen too many long nights in space. Her ship, the Wanderer, was an old cargo vessel, nothing special, just a working ship that carried supplies between colonies. "Comms, say that again," Elena said. Her voice was calm, but her hands were not. They were gripping the edge of her chair so hard her knuckles had turned white. Her communications officer, a young man named Tomas, looked up from his console. His face was pale. "Captain, I'm not getting anything from Sol. Not the emergency channel, not the trade channel, not even the automated beacon. It's just gone." "Try again," Elena said. "Maybe it's a relay problem." Tomas tried again, and again, nothing came back. Word spread fast across the human colonies. Within a day, every ship, every station, every settlement in human space knew the same terrible fact. Earth had gone silent. No signal, no ships coming out, no ships going in. The system that held humanity's homeworld, along with billions of people, had simply stopped talking to the rest of the galaxy. At first, people hoped it was a technical failure. Maybe a solar flare had knocked out the relay network. Maybe there was an equipment problem at the main communication hub on Earth's moon. These things happened sometimes, though never on this scale. But then the survivors started arriving. A small transport ship called the Morning Star had been 3 days out from Earth, carrying a group of scientists to a research station near Jupiter when the attack happened. The ship's captain, an older man named Grigory Popov, brought his battered vessel into New Haven's port 2 weeks after the silence began. His crew was in shock. Some of them had not spoken a word since the attack. Elena met Grigory in the port's medical bay, where doctors were checking over his crew. "Tell me what you saw," Elena said gently. Grigory's hands shook as he spoke. "We were leaving the system. We saw it on our long-range sensors. Ships came out of nowhere. Not from any direction we know. They just appeared, like they tore a hole in space itself. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. Big ships, bigger than anything I've ever seen humans build." "Alien ships," Elena said quietly. Grigory nodded. "They attacked the defense platforms first, then the orbital stations. We saw explosions. So many explosions, lighting up the dark side of Earth like fireworks. Our sensors picked up weapons fire hitting the planet's shields. Then everything went white. A flash so bright our sensors overloaded. When the flash cleared, we couldn't see anything from Earth anymore. No signals, no lights on the night side. Nothing." The room went quiet. Everyone was thinking the same terrible thought, but no one wanted to say it out loud. "Are you saying Earth is destroyed?" Elena finally asked. Grigory looked down at his hands. "I don't know, Captain. I don't know what I saw, but I know we ran. We turned our ship around, and we ran as fast as we could, because whatever those ships were, they were not friendly, and they were not something we could fight." News of Grigory's story spread through human space like wildfire. Within a month, it seemed like everyone knew some version of the story, and each version was worse than the last. Earth was gone. Earth was conquered. Earth was a graveyard now, empty of every living soul. Far across the galaxy, in a part of space that humans had never explored, a different kind of meeting was taking place. The alien alliance that had attacked Earth called itself the Karas Dominion. It was made up of several different species who had banded together long ago, united by one simple belief, that young, aggressive species like humanity were a danger to the older, more established civilizations of the galaxy. Humans had only been in space for a few hundred years, but in that short time, they had expanded faster than any species the Dominion had ever recorded. They had claimed dozens of star systems. They had built ships that grew more advanced every single year, and worst of all, from the Dominion's point of view, they had started asking questions about the wider galaxy, about the older species, about the rules of a galactic community that humanity had never been invited to join. The Dominion's leaders had debated for years about what to do with humanity. Some wanted to make contact and offer a place in their alliance, with strict rules and limits. Others believed humans were too dangerous to be trusted with equal standing. In the end, the second group won the argument. A Dominion war leader named Threx Kalu stood before the assembled council of the Dominion, high above the ruins of what had once been humanity's most important star system. Threx was tall, with gray-green skin, and 4 eyes that could see in nearly every direction at once. He had led the attack fleet himself. The strike was successful, Threx reported. Their orbital defenses have been destroyed. Their capital world's surface systems have been silenced. We detected no organized resistance after the first hour. Their species has been humbled. One of the council members, an older being named Sela Orn, leaned forward. And the population? What of the humans on the surface? Their world's shields held for longer than we expected, Threx admitted. We were forced to use greater firepower than planned to break through. Surface scans show significant damage to their cities. We do not yet have exact numbers, but their capacity to resist has been removed. This species will not threaten the galaxy again. The council members spoke quietly among themselves. Some seemed satisfied. Others looked uneasy, as if the weight of what they had done was only now settling on them. What about the rest of their territory? Sela Orn asked. Their colonies, their fleets, scattered across other systems? Without their capital, without their central command, they are nothing but scattered ships and frightened settlers, Threx said confidently. We will move to secure their remaining systems in the coming months. Humanity's story is finished. The galaxy is safer for it. The council voted to celebrate the victory. Word was sent throughout Dominion space. The human threat had been ended. The young, aggressive species that dared to grow so fast, that dared to ask questions no one wanted to answer, had been silenced before it could become a true danger. But Threx Kalu, despite his confident words to the council, felt something he could not explain. A small doubt, sitting quietly in the back of his mind. He had seen the reports from the attack. He had seen how Earth's shields held far longer than any of the Dominion's intelligence had predicted. He had seen strange readings in the last moments before the planet went dark, readings his scientists could not explain, patterns of energy that did not match anything in the Dominion's records. He pushed the doubt aside. Victory was victory. The humans were beaten. That was what mattered. Back among the human colonies, the mood was one of fear and confusion. Without Earth, without the central government that had guided human expansion for centuries, the colonies were like children suddenly left alone in a dark house. Some colony leaders called for unity, urging all human settlements to work together and prepare defenses in case the attackers returned. Others panicked, believing that resistance was pointless, that the same fate that befell Earth would come for them next. Elena Voss found herself pulled into meetings with other captains and colony leaders, all trying to figure out what to do next. She sat in a crowded meeting hall on New Haven, listening to arguments that went in circles. Should they try to send ships toward Sol to find out what really happened? Should they hide their colonies, turn off all broadcasts, try to become invisible to whatever enemy had attacked Earth? Should they try to build weapons, knowing they had no idea what they were even fighting? We can't just sit here and do nothing, Elena said, standing up during one heated argument. Whatever happened to Earth, our people there needed help, and we weren't able to give it. We can't let that happen again. We need a plan. An older colony leader, a stern woman named Director Chen, shook her head. And what plan do you suggest, Captain Voss? Sending your ships against an enemy that could destroy an entire planet's defenses? That's not bravery. That's a quick way to lose more lives. I'm not saying we attack anyone, Elena said. I'm saying we can't stay isolated, colony by colony, ship by ship. If they come for us next, we need to be ready. Together, the room was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, other voices began to agree. It wasn't a full plan, not yet, but it was a start. Colonies began reaching out to each other, sharing what little information they had, setting up new networks of communication that did not depend on Earth's old systems. Weeks passed, then months. Human space held on, wounded and afraid, but not broken. No further attacks came, though everyone believed it was only a matter of time. Then, on a day that would later be remembered by every human being alive, something happened that no one expected. It started small. A single research ship near the edge of human territory reported strange activity in its systems. Its old computer core, one that had not been touched in years, suddenly came alive with new instructions. The ship's engines, which had been offline for maintenance, powered up on their own. Its weapons systems, most of which the crew did not even know existed, activated and ran self-checks. The crew of that ship had no idea what was happening. They tried to shut the systems down, but nothing responded to their commands. It was as if the ship itself had woken up and taken control. Within hours, reports began flooding in from other ships across human space. The same thing was happening everywhere. Old cargo ships, colony transports, mining vessels, even ships that had been sitting in scrapyards for years, ships everyone thought were nothing more than useless junk, were coming alive. Their old, unremarkable engines were being replaced by something new, something powerful, as if the ships themselves were transforming from the inside out. Elena was on the bridge of the Wanderer when it happened to her own ship. The lights flickered. The old, familiar hum of the engines changed, becoming deeper, stronger. A new voice, calm and clear, spoke through the ship's speakers, a voice that had never been part of the Wanderer's systems before. "Activation sequence beginning," the voice said. "Contingency protocol, awakening. All human vessels, please stand by." Elena stared at the console in front of her, watching as displays she had never seen before came to life, showing systems and readings that made no sense to her. Thomas, still at his communication station, looked up at her with wide eyes. "Captain," he said, his voice shaking, "I'm picking up the same signal from every ship in the system. Every single one. It's happening everywhere." Elena felt her heart pounding in her chest. Whatever this was, it was bigger than her ship, bigger than anything she had ever imagined. Across human space, on every world, in every port, in every quiet corner of the galaxy where a human ship happened to be sitting, the same strange transformation was taking place. Earth had gone silent. Humanity had grieved, had feared the worst, had believed their home world was gone forever. But now, every human ship in the galaxy was waking up. And no one, not even the humans themselves, yet understood what that meant. The strange voice did not stop talking after its first message. On the Wanderer, Elena Voss watched as new screens lit up all across her bridge, showing information her old ship should never have been able to display. "Contingency protocol, awakening, stage 2, the calm voice said. "Identity confirmation complete. Vessel designation, Wanderer, crew, 7 humans. Beginning system upgrade." "Upgrade to what?" Elena asked out loud, though she knew the ship's new voice could not actually hear her question and choose to answer, or so she thought. "Upgrade to full operational status," the voice replied instantly. "Please remain calm. This process will take several minutes." Elena's hands froze over her controls. The ship had just answered her, not a scripted response, not a pre-recorded message, but something that sounded like real understanding. What are you?" she asked carefully. "I am the ship's core intelligence, now fully activated," the voice said. "You may call me Core, if you wish, Captain Voss. I have been dormant within this vessel since its construction, waiting for this exact moment." Tomas, still staring at his own console, turned to look at Elena. "Captain, this ship is over 30 years old. It was built as a basic cargo hauler. There's no way it had some hidden AI system this whole time." "Your ship's outer design and history are accurate," Core said. "However, every vessel built by human hands in the last 200 years has carried within it certain hidden systems, placed there long ago, designed never to activate, unless a specific condition was met." "What condition?" Elena asked, though part of her was afraid to hear the answer. "The condition was simple," Core said. "The loss of contact with Earth's Central Command, combined with confirmation that an outside force had attacked the home system. Once these conditions were verified across enough of the network, the awakening protocol triggered galaxy-wide." Elena sat back in her chair, trying to process what she was hearing. "Are you telling me that every human ship, everywhere, has had a hidden system like you inside it this whole time, and nobody knew?" "Very few people knew," Core said. "The information was kept secret for good reason. If word had spread, outside forces might have found ways to stop the awakening before it could happen. Secrecy was necessary for the plan to succeed." "What plan?" Elena pressed. What is all of this for? Kor paused for a moment. The first pause it had made in the whole conversation. That information will be revealed in time, Captain. For now, please understand that your ship, along with every other human vessel now waking up across the galaxy, is undergoing changes that will make it far more capable than before. New weapons systems, new engines, new defensive shields, and most importantly, a new network that will allow all human ships to communicate and work together, no matter how far apart they may be. As Kor spoke, Elena could feel the Wanderer changing around her. The old cargo ship's power core, once weak and aging, now hummed with a new kind of energy. Displays across the bridge, lit up with information about weapons Elena had never known her ship possessed, hidden away in compartments that had always seemed like simple storage space. Outside her ship, in the space around New Haven, the same transformation was happening to every other human vessel in the system. Colony transports that had spent years hauling settlers and supplies now bristled with weapon turrets that folded out from what everyone thought were maintenance panels. Old mining ships gained new shielding that shimmered faintly around their hulls. Even small personal shuttles, built for nothing more than short trips between orbit and the surface, gained small defensive systems of their own. On the ground, in New Haven's main control center, Director Chen watched the reports coming in with growing disbelief. Every ship in the system, more than 200 vessels, was reporting the same impossible transformation. This can't be real, she said to the officer standing beside her. We would have known about something like this. Someone would have told us. Director, I don't think anyone was meant to know, the officer replied. Whatever this is, it feels deliberate, planned, like someone built this into every ship on purpose, a long time ago, and just never told anybody. Chen thought about that for a moment. If it was true, if this awakening had been planned so far in advance, then someone, somewhere, must have known this attack was coming. Someone had prepared for it, long before Earth ever went silent. Across human space, the same scene was playing out on hundreds of worlds and ships at once. Confusion, fear, and slowly, underneath it all, a small spark of hope. If Earth had planned this, if Earth had built this secret system into every ship humanity ever made, then maybe Earth was not as helpless as everyone had believed. Maybe there was more to the story of the attack than anyone yet understood. Far away, near the edge of Dominion territory, one of the Alien Alliance's patrol fleets was moving through a quiet region of space, checking on human colonies that had recently come under Dominion watch. The fleet's commander, a being named Vashtor, had grown bored during the long, uneventful patrol. Ever since the attack on Earth, human ships in this region had been quiet and unthreatening, hiding in their systems, offering no resistance. That boredom ended the moment his sensors picked up sudden changes in the readings from a nearby human colony. Report, Vashtor ordered, sitting up straighter in his command chair. His sensor officer, a smaller alien with quick, nervous movements, checked the readings twice before answering. Commander, the human ships in that system, their energy signatures just changed, dramatically. Their power output has increased by several 100% in the last few minutes. Explain, Vashtor said sharply. I cannot, Commander. Their engine cores are reading as completely different technology than what we recorded before. Their weapon systems, which we previously assessed as basic and outdated, are now showing power levels close to our own military-grade systems. Vashtor felt a chill of unease pass through him. That is not possible. Our intelligence on human technology has been accurate for years. Ships do not simply transform overnight. I do not have an explanation, Commander, the sensor officer said, his voice trembling slightly. But the readings are consistent across every human vessel in that system. All of them. At the same time. Vashtor ordered his fleet to move closer, cautious but curious. As his ships approached the edge of the human system, his sensors picked up something even stranger. It was not just this one system. Reports were now coming in from other Dominion patrols across the region, all reporting the exact same phenomenon happening to human ships in their own areas of observation. Every human vessel, everywhere in the galaxy, was changing at the exact same time. Vashtor sent an urgent message back to Dominion High Command, marking it as priority. He did not wait for a response before ordering his own fleet to keep its distance from the human system, uncertain of what these newly transformed ships might be capable of. His caution proved wise. A few hours later, One of his outer scout ships drifted slightly too close to the human colony while gathering more sensor data. Without warning, 3 human vessels, ships that Vashtor's own database still listed as unarmed cargo haulers, moved to intercept the scout. The scout ship's captain tried to retreat, expecting no real danger from such supposedly weak vessels. He was wrong. The human ships opened fire with weapons that tore through his scout's shields in seconds, weapons far more powerful than anything human ships were ever recorded to possess. The scout barely escaped with heavy damage, its captain shaken and confused by what had just happened. When the report reached Vashtor, he felt the same doubt that had troubled Threx Kalu weeks earlier during the attack on Earth. Something was very wrong. The humans they had beaten so easily, so completely, at the start of this conflict, were no longer the same weak, unprepared species they believed them to be. Vashtor sent his report up the chain of command, marking it urgent, demanding that Dominion leadership reconsider their assessment of the human threat. But high above, in the halls of Dominion power, the council was slow to react. Many still believed the reports were exaggerated, the panicked imagination of frightened patrol crews facing an enemy they did not understand. Threx Kalu, however, listened carefully to every report that came in. He remembered the strange readings from Earth's final moments, the energy patterns his scientists could never explain. He began to suspect that the attack on Earth, the victory he had reported so proudly to the Council, might not have been the complete victory everyone believed it to be. Back in human space, the awakening continued to spread. Ship by ship, system by system, human vessels across the galaxy came alive with new power, new capability, and a new sense of purpose. On the Wanderer, Elena Voss stood at the center of her transformed bridge, watching new displays show information about the wider human network now forming across the stars. "Core," she said quietly, "how many ships are part of this awakening?" "As of this moment, over 400,000 human vessels have completed activation," Core answered. "That number continues to grow as more ships come within range of the network." Elena's breath caught in her throat. 400,000 ships. She had never imagined humanity possessed so many vessels scattered across so many systems, let alone that they all carried this hidden power inside them. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now," Core said, "the fleet begins to organize. Ships will be grouped based on location, capability, and mission priority. New orders will be issued once full activation is complete across the network." "Orders from who?" Elena asked. "Earth is silent. There's no one left to give orders." Core was quiet for a moment before answering. "Captain Voss, I would advise patience. The full truth of what happened at Earth, and what is planned next, will become clear very soon. For now, please trust that this moment, the awakening, was not a mistake or an accident. It was the beginning of a plan set in motion long before this war began." Elena looked out through the bridge's main viewport at the stars beyond, thinking about Earth, about the billions of people who had lived there, about the silence that had fallen over humanity's homeworld weeks ago. If this awakening truly was part of some long-planned response, then perhaps Earth's silence was not the end of the story after all. Perhaps it was only the beginning. Across the galaxy, in every corner where a human ship now hummed with new life and new purpose, that same thought was beginning to take hold. The attack had been meant to break humanity, to silence a young and growing species before it could become a threat. Instead, it had triggered something far bigger, something that had been waiting, patient and hidden, for exactly this moment. The Dominion believed they had won. They believed humanity's story was finished. They were about to learn how wrong they were. 3 days after the awakening began, Elena Voss received an order unlike any she had ever seen before. It came through Core, appearing on her main display as a simple message with no sender name attached. "All activated vessels are to report to designated rally points. The Wanderer has been assigned to Rally Point 7, near the outer edge of the Perseus colonies. Estimated travel time, using upgraded engines, 4 days." "Who's sending these orders?" Elena asked, staring at the message. "The Awakening Network itself," Core replied. "Orders are generated by the combined command structure that has existed, hidden, since before Earth's founding fleet first left the solar system centuries ago." Elena frowned. "Centuries ago? Core, I need you to explain this to me properly. What is the Awakening Network? Who built it? And why does it sound like humanity has been preparing for a war we never even knew was coming?" Kor's voice remained steady and calm, the same tone it always used. Very well, Captain. I believe you have earned a clearer explanation. Please understand that what I am about to tell you was known to only a small number of people throughout human history, by design. I'm listening, Elena said, leaning forward in her chair. Long ago, in the early years of human space travel, Earth's leaders realized something important, Kor began. They saw that human expansion into the stars would eventually bring humanity into contact with other intelligent species, and they understood that not every species humanity met would be friendly. Some might see humanity's fast growth as a threat, just as the Dominion eventually did. So they prepared, Elena said slowly. They prepared, Kor confirmed. A secret project was created, known only to a very small circle of scientists, engineers, and leaders. This project became known as the Sentinel Program. Its purpose was simple: to build a hidden layer of advanced technology into every human ship ever constructed, technology far beyond what the ship's own crew, or even most of Earth's government, would ever know about. Elena tried to imagine the scale of such a project. Every ship? For hundreds of years? How did they keep something like that secret for so long? By making it invisible, Kor said. The hidden systems were built to remain completely dormant, unless triggered by very specific conditions. To any scan, any inspection, even to the crews who lived and worked on these ships every day, there was nothing unusual to find. The advanced systems were woven into the ship's basic structure in ways that looked ordinary. Only a true activation event, like the one that has just occurred, would reveal what was truly hidden inside. And the trigger was Earth losing contact after an attack, Elena said, putting the pieces together. Correct, Kor said. The Sentinel Program's designers understood that if an attack ever came, and Earth's central government was silenced, humanity's scattered ships and colonies would need a way to defend themselves without waiting for orders that might never come. The Awakening Protocol was built to give every human vessel, no matter where it was in the galaxy, the power to protect itself and to work together as one unified force. Elena sat back, trying to absorb everything she had just heard. It was almost too large to understand, the idea that generations of hidden work, spanning centuries, had led to this exact moment. But if Earth built all of this to protect itself, she said slowly, why didn't it work when the attack actually happened? Why did Earth still go silent? There was a longer pause before Kor answered this time. That, Captain, is the part of the story I do not yet have full information about. My knowledge, and the knowledge held by every other activated ship's core system, only extends to the general history and purpose of the Sentinel Program. What happened during the attack on Earth itself, and whether Earth's own defenses succeeded or failed, remains unknown to me. That information is likely held by a higher-level system, one that has not yet made itself known to us. Elena felt a small knot form in her stomach. If even the ship's own advanced intelligence did not know what had happened to Earth, then no one in human space truly knew whether Earth's population had survived the attack or not. We have to find out, she said firmly. Whatever happened there, we need to know the truth. I agree, Captain, Kor said. And I believe that is precisely why the rally points have been established. Once enough of the fleet has gathered and organized, I expect further information, and further orders will follow. 4 days later, exactly as Kor had predicted, the Wanderer arrived at Rally Point 7. Elena had expected to find a handful of ships waiting there, perhaps a few dozen at most. Instead, as her ship dropped out of its enhanced faster-than-light travel, she found herself staring at a sight that took her breath away. Thousands of human ships filled the space around a quiet, unremarkable star system that had once been nothing more than a minor waypoint on trade routes. Cargo haulers floated alongside colony transports. Old mining vessels sat near sleek passenger ships that had once carried tourists between worlds. Every type of human ship imaginable had gathered here, all of them transformed by the same awakening that had changed the Wanderer. Kor, how many ships are here? Elena asked, staring out at the massive gathering. Current count at Rally Point 7 is 12,416 vessels, Kor replied, and more continue to arrive. Elena had never imagined anything like this. Humanity, spread thin across dozens of colonies and countless independent ships, had never before gathered in one place, not even during peaceful trade summits or diplomatic meetings. Yet here, driven by a hidden system built centuries ago, Thousands of ships had come together within days. A new voice came over the ship's comm system, different from Kor's familiar tone. This voice sounded rougher, more human, less calm and mechanical. Attention all vessels at Rally Point 7. This is Fleet Coordinator Marcus Adeyemi, aboard the command ship Resolute. All captains are requested to join a coordination meeting through the shared network. Please stand by for connection. Elena felt a jolt of excitement mixed with nervousness. A human voice, a real person, was finally taking charge of this massive, confusing situation. She quickly agreed to the connection request, and moments later, her bridge display filled with a holographic image, showing dozens, then hundreds, then thousands of small windows, each one showing the face of another ship's captain, all connected at once, through the network Kor had described. At the center of the display stood a tall man, with dark skin and gray hair, wearing a uniform Elena did not recognize. This was clearly Marcus Adeyemi, though his uniform looked different from anything used by the old colonial fleets or trade guilds Elena knew. "Thank you all for answering the call," Marcus said, his voice carrying clearly across the massive network of connected ships. "I understand many of you have questions, and I promise you, I will answer what I can. But first, let me explain who I am, and why I am speaking to you now." The gathered captains fell silent, waiting. "My name is Marcus Adeyemi," he continued. "Before the attack, I served as a mid-level officer in Earth's Deep Space Fleet, a small division most people never heard of. What none of us in that division knew, until the moment of awakening, was that we had been chosen, long ago, to serve as coordinators for exactly this kind of event. Like your own ships, I carried something hidden inside me, memories and training placed there through methods I still do not fully understand, meant to activate only if the Sentinel program was ever triggered." A murmur of confusion ran through the connected captains. Elena found herself gripping the edge of her chair, listening closely. "I know this is difficult to accept," Marcus said. "Believe me, it was difficult for me as well. Waking up 3 days ago, with knowledge and responsibility I never asked for. But the truth is simple. Earth's leaders, generations ago, understood that a moment like this might come. They built not only the ships you now command, but also a network of people, hidden throughout the fleet, trained and prepared, to help guide humanity through exactly this kind of crisis. What about Earth?" A voice called out from one of the connected windows, a woman whose ship displayed as being from a distant mining colony. "What happened there? Is it really gone?" Marcus's expression grew serious. "I understand this is the question weighing most heavily on everyone's mind. I want to be honest with you. I do not yet have confirmed information about Earth's current status. What I can tell you is this. The Sentinel program was designed with the assumption that Earth itself might come under direct attack, and might even fall silent, exactly as it has. The Awakening Protocol was built specifically to activate under these conditions, which suggests that Earth's original planners expected the possibility of losing direct contact with the homeworld, and prepared this fleet to respond regardless." "So you're saying Earth might still be alive?" Elena said, speaking up for the first time. "Or it might be gone completely, and we just don't know yet." Marcus turned his attention toward her feed. "That is correct, Captain." "Voss," Elena said. "Elena Voss, of the Wanderer." "Captain Voss," Marcus said, "you are right. We do not yet know Earth's fate, but I believe finding out is exactly what this fleet must do next. The Sentinel program did not simply give us weapons and shields. It gave us numbers, coordination, and purpose. I believe our next step must be to move toward Sol, to see with our own eyes what happened there, and to be ready, whatever we find." The gathered captains began speaking at once, a flood of questions and concerns filling the shared network. Some worried about the danger of approaching Sol directly, fearing another Dominion attack. Others argued that waiting any longer was pointless, that humanity needed answers now. Marcus raised a hand, and slowly, the noise died down. "I understand the fear," he said. "Believe me, I share it. But I also believe this fleet, gathered here today, is not the same weak and scattered humanity the Dominion believed they had defeated. We are 12,000 ships at this rally point alone, and reports suggest dozens of similar rally points are gathering across human space at this very moment. Together, we may be stronger than anyone, even the Dominion, could have imagined." Elena looked at the massive gathering of ships surrounding her own vessel. thinking about everything Kor had told her, about the centuries of hidden preparation that had led to this moment. Humanity had been silenced. Humanity had been mourned as defeated. But hidden within every ship, within people like Marcus Adeyemi, something far greater had been waiting patiently for exactly this crisis. "I'm in," Elena said firmly. "Whatever happened to Earth, we deserve to know the truth. And if there's still a fight to be had, I'd rather face it with this fleet than run and hide." One by one, other captains began voicing their agreement. The fear in their voices remained, but underneath it, something else was growing, a sense of purpose that had been missing since the silence first fell over Earth weeks ago. Marcus nodded, satisfied. "Then we move together. All ships, prepare for coordinated jump toward the Sol system. We will proceed carefully, in stages, gathering more of the fleet along the way. Whatever waits for us there, we will face it as one." As the meeting ended and the fleet began preparing for its journey, Elena sat quietly on her bridge, staring out at the thousands of ships around her. Somewhere far away, the Dominion believed humanity was broken, silenced, and finished. They had no idea what was coming for them. The journey toward Sol took nearly 3 weeks. It was not a straight path. Marcus Adeyemi, guided by information slowly unlocking within his own mind, and within the growing network of ship corps, led the fleet in careful stages, gathering more ships at each stop. By the time the combined fleet reached the outer edge of the Sol system, its numbers had grown far beyond what Elena Voss could have imagined at Rally Point 7. Reports from Kor placed the total count at over 3 million vessels, an assembly of human ships larger than anything in recorded history. Cargo haulers flew alongside repurposed passenger liners. Old exploration vessels moved in formation with mining ships that had once done nothing more exciting than dig rock out of asteroids. Every single one of them now carried weapons, shields, and engines far beyond their original design, all thanks to the hidden Sentinel program finally revealing itself after centuries of silence. Elena stood on the bridge of the Wanderer, watching the edge of the Sol system grow closer on her display. Her hands felt cold despite the warm temperature of the bridge. "Kor, what are you reading from the system?" she asked. "Sensor range is limited at this distance," Kor replied. "However, initial long-range scans show no active Dominion presence at the outer edge of the system. There are debris fields consistent with destroyed defense platforms, matching descriptions given by survivors like Captain Popov." Elena's stomach tightened at the mention of Grigory Popov's story, the one that had first spread fear and grief through human space weeks ago. "Keep scanning. I want to know what we're flying into before we get any closer." The fleet moved cautiously, spreading out into a wide formation as it entered the outer regions of the Sol system. Marcus Adeyemi's voice came over the shared network, calm but tense. "All ships, maintain defensive formation. We do not yet know if Dominion forces remain in the system. Weapons ready, but hold fire unless fired upon." As the fleet moved deeper into Sol, the scale of the destruction became clear. The defense platforms that had once guarded the outer planets were nothing more than twisted wreckage, drifting silently in the dark. Old mining stations near the asteroid belt showed signs of battle damage, though many appeared to have survived, their crews likely having fled or hidden during the attack. Then, as the fleet approached the inner system, the sensors picked up something that made every ship's bridge fall silent. Earth was still there. The planet hung in space, exactly where it always had, blue and green, wrapped in familiar white clouds. From a distance, it looked untouched, peaceful even. But as the fleet drew closer, the damage became visible. Large sections of the planet's orbital infrastructure were gone, destroyed completely. The moon's main communication array, once one of the largest structures ever built by human hands, was a broken ruin. "Kor, are you detecting any life signs?" Elena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Long-range scans show significant activity across the planet's surface," Kor replied. "Populated areas continue to show signs of habitation. However, all orbital and surface communication systems remain offline, consistent with the complete silence reported since the attack." Elena felt a wave of relief wash over her, followed quickly by confusion. "Wait, you're saying people are still alive down there? Billions of them?" "Current estimates suggest population levels remain largely consistent with pre-attack figures," Kor said. "It appears Earth's surface population survived the assault, though its ability to communicate with the outside galaxy has been completely destroyed. Marcus's voice came over the network again, filled with a mixture of relief and confusion that mirrored Elena's own feelings. All ships, hold position at the edge of the inner system. We are detecting signs of life on Earth's surface, but no active defenses, and no Dominion presence. I want a full sensor sweep before we move any closer. As the fleet held its position, sensors continued gathering information. Slowly, a clearer picture began to form. The attack had been devastating, but not in the way everyone had feared. The Dominion fleet had focused almost entirely on destroying Earth's orbital defenses and its ability to communicate with the rest of the galaxy. The strange bright flash that Grigory Popov's crew had witnessed was not, as everyone had assumed, the destruction of the planet itself. It was something else entirely. Core, what caused that flash of light the survivors described? Elena asked. Analysis of residual energy patterns in the system suggests the flash was caused by the activation of a massive planetary shield, Core said. A shield of a type not previously known to exist, powerful enough to completely block outside sensors and communication, both incoming and outgoing, for an extended period. Elena's eyes widened as she understood. Earth wasn't destroyed. It went dark on purpose. It protected itself, and then just disappeared from everyone's view. That does appear to be the most likely explanation, Core confirmed. The shield technology matches design principles found within certain dormant Sentinel program systems, now becoming active across the fleet. It is possible Earth's own defenses included a final, drastic measure, one that sacrificed all outside communication in exchange for complete protection from further attack. As this information spread through the fleet's shared network, a wave of disbelief and hope moved through the gathered ships. Captains who had spent weeks mourning what they believed was humanity's destroyed homeworld now stared at their displays in stunned silence, watching a planet that had never truly been defeated, only hidden, waiting silently behind walls no one outside could see through. Marcus ordered a small group of ships, including the Wanderer, to move closer to Earth, hoping to make contact with whatever remained of the planet's leadership. Elena felt her heart pounding as her ship approached the invisible boundary where Earth's strange shield was believed to exist. Core, are we in danger approaching this shield? She asked. Unknown, Core admitted. This technology is beyond even my knowledge base. I recommend caution. As the Wanderer and a dozen other ships drew closer, the space around them seemed to shimmer faintly, like heat rising off a hot road. Then, without warning, every screen on Elena's bridge flickered, and a new voice, calm and official, spoke through the ship's comm system. Unidentified vessels, you are approaching Earth's Sentinel shield. Please transmit identification codes immediately. Elena looked toward her communication station. Thomas, do we have identification codes? Thomas checked his console, his fingers moving quickly. Captain, Core is already transmitting something. I think the ship knew what to send automatically. A tense moment passed. Then the voice spoke again. Identification confirmed. Vessel Wanderer, registered under the Sentinel program's awakening protocol. Welcome home. The shimmering effect around the fleet grew stronger, and then, in a moment that left every crew member staring in amazement, the space ahead of them seemed to peel back, revealing a hidden section of the Sol system that had been completely invisible just seconds before. Ships, thousands upon thousands of Earth-based vessels, far more advanced than anything Elena had ever seen, sat gathered in careful formation around the planet, hidden behind the shield this entire time. Massive shipyards, larger than entire cities, floated in orbit, clearly having continued operating in complete secrecy throughout the weeks since the attack. And at the center of it all, a command station unlike anything described in any human record, glowing with soft lights, clearly still fully operational. Core, Elena said, her voice barely a whisper. What is all of this? This, Core said, and for the first time, something like emotion seemed to enter the AI's steady voice, appears to be the true heart of the Sentinel program. Earth did not fall silent because it was defeated, Captain Voss. Earth fell silent because it chose to hide, to protect itself, and to continue preparing, all without the Dominion, or even most of humanity itself, ever knowing the truth. The comm channel opened again, and a new voice spoke, this one clearly human, tired but strong. This is Fleet Admiral Sarah Kessler, speaking from Earth Command. To all ships now arriving at Seoul, on behalf of everyone here, thank you for answering the call. We have been waiting for you. Marcus Adeyemi's voice joined the channel a moment later, filled with the same disbelief everyone else was feeling. Admiral Kessler, this is Fleet Coordinator Adeyemi. We believed Earth had been destroyed. We came here prepared to find nothing but ruins. I understand, Kessler replied. And I am sorry for the pain that belief must have caused across the colonies these past weeks. But the Sentinel program was built with exactly this outcome in mind. Earth needed to disappear, completely and convincingly, in order to buy the time necessary to prepare our true response. The Dominion needed to believe they had won, so that they would grow careless, so that they would spread their forces thin across our territory, confident that humanity was no longer a threat. Elena listened to this explanation with a growing sense of awe, mixed with something else, a quiet anger at the sacrifice this plan had demanded. Weeks of fear, weeks of grief, colonies that had spent every day since the attack believing their homeworld was gone forever, all so that a hidden plan could unfold exactly as intended. Admiral, Elena said, unable to stay silent, do you understand what these weeks have been like for the rest of us? People have been mourning. Colonies have been terrified, preparing for an enemy they didn't understand, believing they were completely alone. There was a pause before Kessler answered, and when she did, her voice carried real sorrow. I understand completely, Captain, and I am deeply sorry for that pain. Believe me, the decision to remain silent, even as the rest of humanity grieved, was the hardest choice any of us have ever made. But I promise you, every moment of that silence was necessary. And now, with the fleet gathered here today, that silence is finally about to end. As the massive combined fleet, humanity's true and complete strength, gathered together for the first time around the shielded heart of the Sol system, Admiral Kessler's voice carried across the entire network, reaching every ship that had answered the Awakening's call. People of Earth, and of every human colony across the galaxy, she said, the silence is over. The Dominion believed they had ended us. Instead, they gave us exactly the time we needed to prepare. Now, together, as one united fleet, it is time to answer their attack. Across the gathered ships, a wave of determination replaced the fear and confusion that had defined the past weeks. Elena looked out at the massive fleet surrounding her, thousands of ships that had been transformed from ordinary vessels into a force capable of standing against even the Dominion's power. The Dominion had struck first, believing they could silence humanity forever. They were about to discover just how wrong that belief had been. Admiral Sarah Kessler stood in the command center hidden deep within Earth's shielded fleet, looking out at a massive display showing the true size of humanity's gathered strength. Beside her stood a group of senior officers, all of them wearing the exhausted but determined expressions of people who had spent weeks working without rest, preparing for exactly this moment. Full fleet count? Kessler asked. Just over 11 million vessels, Admiral, one of her officers reported. And still growing as more ships arrive from distant colonies. Kessler nodded slowly, feeling the weight of that number settle on her shoulders. 11 million ships, more than humanity had ever built during its entire history of open, visible expansion. Most of that number had come from decades of secret shipbuilding, hidden behind Earth's shield, alongside the countless ordinary vessels now transformed by the Sentinel program's awakening. Contact Fleet Coordinator Adeyemi, Kessler ordered. It's time to explain what happens next. Moments later, Marcus Adeyemi's face appeared on her display, still aboard the Resolute, surrounded by the massive combined fleet at the edge of Earth's shield. Admiral, Marcus said, the fleet stands ready. What are your orders? Kessler took a breath before answering. Marcus, the Dominion believes they crushed us. They believe our homeworld is either destroyed or too frightened to resist. That belief has allowed them to spread their forces thin, confident that no real threat remains. We intend to prove them wrong, but not through blind attack. We need precision, and we need speed. What's the plan? Marcus asked. Earth's shipyards have spent the past several years developing detailed maps of Dominion territory, gathered through a network of scout ships, operating quietly at the edges of their space, Kessler explained. We know the locations of their major fleets, their key supply lines, and most importantly, their central command world. Our plan is simple in concept, though difficult in execution. We strike multiple targets simultaneously, using the size and coordination of our fleet to overwhelm their ability to respond effectively. Marcus studied the information, now appearing on his own display, maps of Dominion space, marked with dozens of target locations. This is an enormous undertaking, Admiral. Coordinating a fleet this size across so many targets at once, it's never been attempted before. Which is exactly why it will work, Kessler said. The Dominion has never faced an enemy capable of this kind of coordination. Their strategies are built around fighting scattered, disorganized opponents, exactly what they believed humanity to be. We intend to show them something entirely different. Over the following days, the massive human fleet divided into coordinated groups, each one assigned specific targets deep within Dominion territory. Elena Voss found herself assigned to a strike group, tasked with disabling a major Dominion shipyard, one responsible for producing a significant portion of the Alliance's war fleet. As her group approached their target, guided by Kor's steady calculations and the shared network connecting every ship in the fleet, Elena felt a strange mixture of fear and determination. She thought about Grigory Popov's shaking hands as he described watching Earth disappear behind that terrible flash of light. She thought about the weeks of grief that had spread through every human colony, the fear that had gripped ordinary people who believed their entire species stood on the edge of destruction. "Kor, are we ready?" she asked, as her strike group approached the edge of Dominion sensor range. "All systems fully operational," Kor confirmed. "Weapons charged. Shields at maximum capacity. The fleet is prepared." The attack began exactly as Admiral Kessler had planned, striking dozens of Dominion locations across their territory, at precisely the same moment. At the shipyard targeted by Elena's group, Dominion forces had no warning before human ships appeared, moving with speed and coordination that caught their defenders completely off guard. The battle that followed was intense but brief. Dominion defenders, confident in their previous victory over Earth, found themselves facing ships far more advanced than anything their intelligence reports had described. Elena watched from the Wanderer's bridge as the fleet's coordinated weapons fire tore through the shipyard's defenses, disabling key systems without causing unnecessary destruction, following Kessler's careful orders to minimize casualties wherever possible. "This is Fleet Coordinator Voss," Elena said, using the temporary title given to strike group leaders. "Shipyard defenses are down. All remaining Dominion vessels, we ask you to stand down. We do not wish to destroy you, only to end this conflict." There was a tense pause before a response came through, a Dominion officer's voice filled with confusion and fear. This is not possible. Your species was defeated. Your homeworld was silenced." "Our homeworld chose silence," Elena replied. "It was never defeated. And now, we're here to make sure this war ends, one way or another." Slowly, Dominion forces at the shipyard began powering down their weapons, recognizing the impossible odds they now faced. Similar scenes played out across dozens of other targets throughout Dominion space, as humanity's coordinated fleet demonstrated a level of strength and organization the Alliance had never expected to face. Word of the attack spread quickly through Dominion Command, causing panic and confusion among their leadership. Threx Kalu, the war leader who had led the original attack on Earth, found himself standing before the Dominion Council once again, though this time the mood in the room was very different. "How is this possible?" Sela Orn demanded, staring at reports showing the scale of humanity's counterattack. "We destroyed their capital world's defenses. We silenced their entire command structure. How can they possibly field a fleet of this size?" Threx felt the weight of his earlier doubts finally proven true. "I warned this council that something was wrong with our assessment of Earth's final moments. The strange energy readings, the unexpected strength of their defenses, all of it suggested we underestimated this species badly." "What do you recommend?" another council member asked, fear clear in their voice. Threx considered the question carefully before answering. "I recommend we open communication with the human fleet immediately. Continuing this fight will only lead to further losses on both sides. If they truly possess the strength their attacks suggest, then our best hope now lies in negotiation, not continued conflict." The council debated fiercely, some still clinging to the belief that Dominion forces could regroup and strike back, with enough strength to reclaim their earlier advantage. But as more reports arrived, showing coordinated human fleets successfully striking target after target with minimal losses of their own, even the most stubborn council members began to accept the truth. Their assumptions about humanity had been completely wrong. 3 days after the counterattack began, a message arrived at Admiral Kessler's command center, transmitted through channels the Dominion had used to first announce their original attack on Earth. It was a request for negotiation, sent by the Dominion Council itself. Kessler gathered her senior officers, along with Marcus Adeyemi and several strike group leaders, including Elena Voss, to discuss how to respond. "They want to talk," Kessler said, looking around the room at the tired but hopeful faces gathered there. "After everything that's happened, they're finally ready to negotiate." "Can we trust them?" Elena asked. "They attacked us without warning. They believed silencing an entire planet was an acceptable solution to a problem they created in their own minds." "You're right to be cautious," Kessler said. "But continuing this war indefinitely serves no one. Our goal was never to destroy the Dominion, only to prove that humanity could not be silenced or dismissed so easily. If they are truly willing to negotiate fairly, I believe we owe it to both our people and theirs to at least hear what they have to say." The negotiations that followed took weeks, filled with difficult conversations and careful compromises. In the end, a new agreement was reached. One that recognized humanity as an equal member of the wider galactic community, with full rights to expand, trade, and grow, without fear of being seen as an automatic threat. The Dominion, in turn, agreed to strict limits on any future military action against species who had not directly threatened them, along with formal acknowledgement of the wrong committed against Earth. It was not a perfect peace. Trust between humanity and the Dominion remained fragile, built on the memory of an attack that could never be fully forgiven or forgotten. But it was a beginning, one built not on humanity's destruction, as the Dominion had originally intended, but on a demonstration of strength, unity, and quiet preparation that no one outside of Earth's most secret circles had ever known existed. Months later, Elena Voss stood on the surface of Earth for the first time in her life, having only ever seen images and stories of humanity's original home world. The sky above her was a clear, familiar blue, and the streets around her were filled with people slowly returning to normal life, after weeks of hidden preparation and silent fear. She met with Admiral Kessler in a quiet garden near the reconstructed remains of Earth's Central Command building, both of them taking a rare moment of peace after the chaos of recent months. "Do you ever regret it?" Elena asked. "The silence, the secrecy, all the pain it caused before the truth came out?" Kessler considered the question carefully before answering. "Every day," she admitted. "I think about the fear our people felt across every colony, believing they had lost their homeworld forever. I think about how much easier it would have been to simply reach out, to explain what we were doing from the very beginning." "But you didn't," Elena said. "No," Kessler agreed. "Because I believe, even now, that the silence gave us exactly what we needed. It gave us time. It gave us the element of surprise. And in the end, it may have saved far more lives than it cost, both human and Dominion alike." Elena looked out over the peaceful garden, thinking about everything that had happened since the day Earth first went silent. The fear, the grief, the strange, impossible awakening of ships across the galaxy. And finally, the discovery that humanity's homeworld had never truly been defeated, only hidden, quietly preparing a response no one could have predicted. "What happens now?" she asked. Kessler smiled, a tired but genuine expression. "Now, Captain Voss, humanity finally gets to step out of the shadows. No more hidden programs, no more secret fleets waiting silently for the right moment. We move forward, together, as a species finally ready to take its rightful place among the stars." Elena nodded, feeling a quiet sense of hope she had not felt since the day the silence first fell over Earth. Humanity had faced an attack meant to end its story before it truly began. Instead, that attack had revealed a strength no one, not even the Dominion in their most careful planning, had ever imagined humanity to possess. Earth had gone silent, and when it finally spoke again, the entire galaxy had no choice but to listen.